we are at 27th Letters Podcast. Sitting down with my man, Cabbie. I could call him my man because he actually supports. I had a brunch. I run a meal prep service, 5 Principles Cuisines, and I had a brunch and told Cabbie about it, told other people who are not in the same stratosphere as him, and he showed up.
Listen, it was delicious too. It was my first time eating vegan food, so thank you for the invitation, and most importantly, thank you for the culinary delights.
Thank you. I know you're like a Ruffles, all dressed Ruffles chips god.
Yes.
So you know what I mean. So I know this is a different. You know what I mean. Eating vegan is different. You know, for you eating all that green and whatnot. I really appreciate it. People who saw you at the event were surprised to see you, and it just, you know what I mean. It made the day feel blessed still. You know?
Well, thank you again for the invitation and for feeding all of us. So thank you.
You know what? Because of you, Jamal showed up at one of my other brunches, Jamal McGlure. I feel like
that's not because of me. No, not because of me.
You promoted it. Yeah, I know Jamal too, but I feel like
Jamal would have went regardless if I showed up. I appreciate you saying that, but Jamal would have supported because he's a great dude.
Oh, for sure. No, like we have mutual friends, so I have existing relationship with him. But I feel like seeing you there, he's like, I gotta go. I gotta go. You know. So yeah, even Jamal. Shout out to Jamal McGlure. But yeah,
yes,
27th Letters Podcast. Cabral Richards, thank you for joining us. The all dressed, if you don't know, all dressed Ruffles Chips God. You know what I mean? Straight from Cambridge out to Jane and Finch overnight.
Right. Yeah. Well, and then I went to Cambridge when I was in high school. But yeah, thank you. Good memory.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we last sat down in 2018. You're one of the first people that I sat down with. You were so gracious when I met you at Mona's restaurant. You know, when's the last time you had a roti?
Oh, bro, I've been in Las Vegas for a year and a half. So I haven't been to Scarborough, like way up there, McCowan and 401 area.
Since you probably left TSN.
Yeah. So before that, probably last time I had a roti was probably maybe 2 years ago. It's been a while.
When you ran into me, probably. 2018. It was 28.
No, I've had rotis in 2019. So maybe not quite 2 years, but like it's been a long time. Yeah, it's been a minute for sure.
So if you don't know, the God worked at the score from 05 to 2010, and I think that's when you gain your cult following. You know what I mean?
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Following. Like while I was in prison, a lot of us was watching Cabbie, even when we were like, "What's he doing?"
Yes. Yes.
Like, what is he doing?
I've been confusing people for a long time.
When you're there with Chris Bosh eating that swine on the pizza, I was like, what are these guys doing, man?
Wow, what a memory by you. Excellent work. Wow. We were playing video games. We were playing Madden. I think he beat me 41-0. Yeah. He was using the Falcons. I think I was using the Eagles, and using Michael Vick, who was a cheat code for the Madden video game. Yeah, Bosh was eating pepperoni pizza. Yeah, great memory. Wow.
Yeah, for sure. But we're gonna get right into it. How's the transition been for you with the whole pandemic and lockdown? Like how you staying sane? I know you got music.
I do have music. Yes, music is a great escape and a great coping mechanism. You know, I've been very fortunate that Bleacher, even though the media market is shrinking, Bleacher has been great, you know, because it stayed stable, even though we had no sports from basically March 11th when Rudy Gobert tested positive for the coronavirus, and then all sports shut down. So from March 11th to July 31st, maybe July 30th, I think baseball started a day before basketball, but my brain goes basketball as the demarcation because of what Rudy Gobert, it wasn't his fault. It was just he's the most prominent person at the time. To get the coronavirus. So in that time, you know, we were trying to fill the void with a bunch of different activations to try to get into the attention, to try to continue a foothold or gain some traction in the attention economy. People were on their phones. People were watching Netflix documentaries like Tiger King, and later in the summer, The Last Dance.
People were sitting still for the first time in their life.
Great point. So, and people were gaming a ton. So we did things like a Madden simulation where we had like the greatest Madden teams of all time in this simulation. And people were watching on Twitch because that is a behavior that people participate in right now. If there are like 11-year-olds or 21-year-olds or 35-year-olds that really love a video game, they will watch other people playing, I guess, in a similar way where we will watch LeBron play Jimmy Butler in the NBA Finals, or the Stars versus the Blues, or the Lightning, or the LA Dodgers versus the Tampa Bay Rays in the World Series. So what else did we do? We did activations so I work on the betting portfolio. So we came up with things with like bet on anything, like literally how many French fries are in a large fries. Put it on Instagram or put it on the Bleacher Report app, and people would comment, 150, 207, like things which were so benign, but people were really engaged because
they were sitting still. They were sitting still. So I think for me personally, the pandemic has been a gift and a curse, I think, for everybody, because it's like you get to sit down and, be with yourself and spend more time. But at the same time, money-wise, you know what I mean? The economy is getting
got beat up
big time. There's some businesses that survived the first wave, but I don't know if they'll survive the second wave. You know what I mean?
I think we're on the third. Well, in the United States, we're on the third wave.
Oh, yeah.
In Canada, I think maybe it's the second wave. But you're right. Like anything in entertainment, hospitality, food and beverage, those sectors have been destroyed. They're like decimated, and that part sucks. And a lot of those mom and pop shops. I mean, even the restaurant that you were hosting those brunches at, maybe that restaurant doesn't survive. So that's been the big time unfortunate part of, and even retail, just like shops, like a lot of huge retailers are filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy filings and things of that nature. So that's been tough. So I've been very fortunate, man, extremely grateful that I still have my job, and we're still betting is a category that's expanding. It's now legal in 22 of the American states. It's legal. Mobile betting, which is the actual next level, that's legal in 14 states. So when I first signed on with Bleacher Report, it was legal in 7. So now we're at 14 a year later. Hopefully that will continue to expand, because as owners are looking for more revenue streams, if less people are going to the physical buildings, so they're missing that line item in revenue, and then less people are watching television.
The money they make off of concessions alone,
that's considerable. And there are some sports that need the gate. Hockey is one of those. Baseball is one of those that need the gate. Basketball too, football as well. But the television contracts in football and basketball are so lucrative that I don't want to say fans aren't needed, but
it suffices enough for them to get by. But with baseball and hockey, they need it.
They need that gate, yeah.
Like the highest paid hockey player makes 5 mil, 10 million?
No. Who is? I think it's Alex Ovechkin, who makes 13 million.
But when you compare it to the other leagues,
well, right, but that's the market, right? Yeah, so you can't have 100 guys making 13 million because the market can't sustain those kind of salaries, So when Russell Wilson is making 40 million or Russell Westbrook is making 45 million in 2 years, those leagues can absorb those costs. But also those owners are billionaires. So it's the athletes unfortunately always get the scourge of the public, because the public can see the athlete and they're so jealous of these guys. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, you're making blah, blah, blah. You should play. What? The person who signs their checks that you don't know about, that's the person who you should really have a beef with. Paid him.
Yeah, he said I was worth this.
Yeah.
He or she, But let's keep moving. But aside from music, are you exercising? What are you doing? Give the people some tidbits on what you do to just stay sane within all this, aside from your work. I know you still got your work, you're blessed to still be working.
Yeah.
But for other folks, what do you suggest? You know what I mean? Aside from the music.
Well, exercise is amazing because it obviously helps your physical body, but your mentals as well. And so I go outside. I mean, even when we were in the lockdown at the beginning of the pandemic, every 2 or 3 days, I would still go to Target or Walmart or Costco or whatever, because I needed to get outside. We get healed from the sun. There's vitamin D. And as humans, we are creatures who have always been outside. I mean, it's only
We're
been
carbon-based. We're carbon-based.
You're carbon-based, yes. And I'll also shout out to water too. But anyway, you're right.
Yes,
We're carbon-based.
Yeah, for sure.
So just going outside for a walk, whether it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes, just does wonders for your brain. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. Just so I'm one of those people that just needs stimulus all the time. So whether it's audio, whether it's video, I did. So my wife instituted a 1 hour a day.
Wife, not fiance. Yes, it's been a while since we sat down.
That's right.
Fiance, now she's the wife.
Right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
But listen, Larry, I didn't read enough. Like I do, because of the way my brain has been conditioned, I read a lot of like magazines. That is like, that's my lane. It's like anything from 2,000 words to 10,000 words. That's what I absorb. So and this is a horrible admission, I only finished one book in the pandemic. It was The Wealthy Barber. The Wealthy Barber Returns. I got halfway through Atomic Habits and I finished a Klosterman book. I finished, Chuck Klosterman's so I finished 2 books, but in 6 months, like that's unacceptable. So, and my wife was just burning through, Michelle Obama's Becoming. What else I'm thinking of there's like a side table next to the couch, which has a stack of books. And she's gone through, I think 8 to 10. And I've like,
and your side is like this. You got some magazines and 2 books.
Bro. So, so exercise, reading. And then I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day and I said, if you didn't take advantage, as to your point, Lamre, of just sitting still or working on projects that you've been putting off for years or months, you really effed up, because that was your opportunity to learn how to play the guitar. YouTube is the greatest tutorial available on the internet. There are how-to videos for literally everything. Indeed. How to paint a room, how to learn how to play the piano, how to make a certain bake strawberry shortcake, whatever it is. So I taught myself how to edit and use Final Cut Pro. That was the thing that I wanted to learn. And my friend, I was upset with him. He's like, he's got these aspirations to be like a film director and that sort of thing. I'm like, well, where are the scripts? Like, you weren't doing.
This is the time.
You
know what I think too?
What's that?
The lockdown exposed the shit talkers.
Ooh, that's interesting.
It did. Because what do you mean you don't have the time to do that thing you've always talked about? And on top of that, there's people who can't sit still because they need distraction. For some reason, some people have deep-rooted issues. So the quiet, that lockdown, like there's some people that committed suicide because of this lockdown. That is definitely an unfortunate the mental toll it's taken on people collectively. Trust me, like I know a couple of relationships that's ended. I'm talking about with children involved that's ended during this lockdown. It's crazy.
The pandemic accelerated every relationship by 5 years in like 4 months.
It's like it's either you felt more in love with your partner or you just totally felt out of love. You're like,
yes, that is big facts.
But I want to talk about the God Kobe. Rest in peace. I know we haven't spoken, and I was looking at your Instagram, and when you passed away earlier this year, you said this man changed your life forever.
Yes,
he changed his life. You got something right there, my friend.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So you were saying how the man changed your life forever, and I know you were affected by his passing. We all were, I was shocked. I was in denial. I'm like, what? No, he didn't die. Something happened. No, there's no way. Like, what do you mean? This is Kobe. This guy is everything's so calculated with him So for him to go out like that, I'm like, what do you mean just go up in a helicopter with his spugs and take that risk? No, Kobe, don't. Like, you're Kobe. But it's like, I guess the best do make mistakes too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I personally feel like if that was the case with the bug, they shouldn't have went up because it ain't that serious. You know what I mean? But he's done it so much times. Like, you don't think about it. It's like going in the elevator. You do it so much times.
It's true. It's like second nature.
Yeah. So it's like for him, that's like going in the elevator. You know what I mean? So it's like, wow. So yeah, touch on how that affected you. Where were you when you heard the news and like?
It was, I was deeply affected, deeply saddened. Like the second wave came over me like 30, 45 seconds after the initial shock was when learning that Gianna was with him, like Gigi was with him, and just like what that reverberation for the family must have felt like.
Did you ever get to meet the family at all?
Yeah, I met Vanessa a few times. Yeah. And I would introduce myself like, hey, Vanessa, my name's Cabbie. I'm from Toronto. I'm a weird reporter who interviews your husband. And then I would say some variation of that every time. And she would smile, or she was always very nice. And I only saw her, met her, or reintroduced myself probably 3 or 4 times, like in the bowels of the Staples Center, just outside of the Lakers locker room, because Vanessa would often attend games and they would drive home together. Kobe would on game day take a helicopter and land on a building downtown, and then a car would drive him to the Staples Center. He'd work out, get his shots up, drop 35 points in a win, and then Vanessa would drive them back to Orange County. So I met her a few times. I didn't meet. Oh, did I meet? Yes, I met Gigi at the All-Star game in 2013 in Houston.
Was it in Toronto?
No. In Houston in 2013. And I was doing an interview with LeBron and Kobe, and they've maybe done 2 or 3 interviews total together, because they had huge respect for each other, but they weren't friends. And, you know, Bron's best friends are Melo, Chris Paul, and D Wade. Kobe's a little bit older than those dudes, but they were always compared to each other when they weren't compared to Michael. So it was like their league. And, you know, Bron wins MVP in 2000, and he wins MVP in 2000. So Kobe wins in 2008, Bron wins 2009, 10, and then Derrick Rose wins in 11, Bron wins in 13, 14, then Kevin Durant, and then Steph Curry, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. But anyway, in that time, like Kobe's sort of the bridge between Michael and LeBron, and there was overlap on both sides. But anyway, so I did this interview with them in Houston where we were like, I got them to write captions on iconic moments for each individual. So
that's when you met his daughter back then.
And I brought I found a book with like zoo animals.
You always come with your props when you come to the interview.
I did.
You're the prop master when it comes to.
Thank you. Well, shout out to Carrot Top, the original, and then I'm
this is my prop. The 26.
There you go. Well, that's not a prop. That's like a document of your history.
Plug.
I do have that somewhere, and it's not here with me, but I do have that book.
Yes.
More time to reading it.
Anyway, how did it affect you just hearing about Kobe?
Right. I was devastated. I got a phone call from one of my boys, producer at Sportsnet, and I hadn't worked with him for over 10 years. And then he's like, "Yo, have you heard?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Check TMZ." I'm like, "Okay." Boom, check TMZ, and I saw it.
He didn't even tell you.
No. And I couldn't believe it. And then I was like overcome with emotion, like most people, shed some tears. I just couldn't and I just kept refreshing TMZ.com to get more information. And I knew that if I saw it on TMZ,
when did it really hit you that you was like, this is real? Like
immediately. Because once it made TMZ, I knew it was legit, because TMZ solidified itself as a legitimate journalistic
news source.
A news source. Thank you. That's a better term. When they scooped CNN on the death of Michael Jackson in the summer of 2009, they had Michael Jackson's death first. They had photos of the ambulance. They had photos inside of his home. It's like, what? So, and other news outlets weren't reporting until hours later, but TMZ had it first. So I'm like, all right, TMZ's legit. So yeah, it was, the coolest, I shouldn't say coolest, but it was heartwarming going to Kobe's memorial a month later. So yeah. So it was, I believe it was February 24th. Kobe left us on January the 26th, I believe, or the 27th. I think it was the 26th. But anyway, at his memorial, it was the first that I went to of that scale, and nobody was on their phones. We're at the Staples Center, 20,000 people, 20,000 people at the venue, and nobody was on their phones. At the very beginning, there were some like light flashes, but then that subsided within 30 seconds because I believe Beyonce opened the memorial, and that's the queen. And yeah, the queen, you want to record whatever she's doing if she's in your presence. But then because of why we were there, people had the respect to like, listen, we are going to take this in as humans, as we're celebrating a life of a human being who had such an impact on us. And man, like Beyonce sung, Christina Aguilera performed, Alicia Keys performed. We heard from, obviously, Shaq closed it, but we heard from Vanessa, who spoke about Kobe first, the love of her life. And then she lost, one of her babies is gone. Like that was so powerful, bro.
Who kind of surprised me with the emotions that he showed was Michael.
Of course.
Michael, of course. That's the God. Like that.
Yep.
What do you mean?
Is the God. Yep.
Crying? This is really real. Like,
yeah,
oh, man, like
yeah. It was a moment of humanity that we rarely see from Michael Jordan. And we saw it, obviously the crying Jordan meme became a thing for a couple of years from his Hall of Fame.
Joel Embiid took that over.
Right. Oh, after Kawhi hits the shot, he gave 7.
I want to get into that later. Just
Okay, sure.
But yeah,
it was deeply moving, and it had a huge impact on me because of what Kobe meant to my life and my career, where he elevated it greater than any other athlete. And I'll forever be grateful. And I won't ever be able to thank him enough until I see him again.
Yes. So moving on. But you know what? Before we move on, it's unfortunate that he passed, because I remember when we sat down last time, he told me about the idea that you pitched to him, and every time you see him, you be like, we got to shoot the idea, we got to film that idea.
Yeah, man,
and you guys never got around to it. No, if you don't know, check out our last interview. You hear about that idea that he pitched to Kobe, and they just never got around to filming it because he was into his production mogul.
Correct. Yes.
So I was watching the interview today. And I was telling you back then, it's gonna happen. But unfortunately, he transitioned. So it is what it is. But Raptors won the chip. Like, it's crazy. The Raptors won the chip.
Oh yeah, that was insane.
I'm talking about it because we haven't spoken, but that was a big deal.
It was massive. Like, Masai Ujiri is a Jedi. He is deified as a G for life, for bringing, because he said it before the season. He's like, we're gonna win in Toronto, and then it came true. He
How did you feel about him trading DeMar for Kawhi?
I thought that was like, it was he had to separate
business,
personal, personal relationships for what he's there for, which was to build a championship team. And look, man, I think it was I can't remember which scientist or philosopher said it, but like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So unfortunately, in the Kyle and DeMar era, we had the same result for 5 straight years.
Because of LeBron.
Oh, yes, obviously, yes. The LeBron crushed the hearts and souls of our city. He was 10-0 over 3 seasons, like from 16, 17 sweep, 18 sweep, and then 19, finally, we get Kawhi. So I wasn't mad at you, Masai, for doing it. I know Kyle was, and there was some internal strife, but leadership, in leadership, you have to take chances, and you have to sometimes have the unpopular opinion in order to achieve your goals. And the goal was to bring Toronto a championship.
I read somewhere that sometimes as a general, as a leader, as the head of state, there's things that you're going to do as the head that the body's not going to understand. They only understand later on.
Right.
That's what it is. That's what it is. You know,
yeah, and the body
I loved it. I loved it right away because I remember DeMar sitting on the bench in the fourth quarter. I was like, this is not going. This can't happen ever again. The coach and him, one of them had to go.
Yeah.
Both of them went left because I couldn't understand how DeMar was sitting there in Cleveland in the fourth quarter.
Casey benched him in game 3.
Yeah, that was maddening. And the fact that he didn't even fight the coach after, like as a competitor, imagine you sitting down Kobe or Jordan, like something crazy is gonna happen. Like, and DeMar just took it. It's like, oh, I was like, no. And then he was like, well, what did he say? He said something about LeBron. Like if we had LeBron, we'd win too. Like, I was just like, why are you talking so like a loser? Stuff like that. I'm telling you, made Masai said, yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go. Kyle was not an issue. Kyle always his issue was getting injured late in the season because he would run through the wall throughout the whole season, and by the end of the by the playoffs, he's injured. So you're not getting that 100%. That's why when Kawhi came around now, that was a beautiful run, man. That shot. What you did for that shot?
Sorry. Yeah. In the building. Yes, I was in the building. And because it was a game 7, I was working for TSN at the time, and we had to go up on the air right after the game. And we had to do like an hour and a half Sports Center. So there are 3 different crews. There was Matt Devlin and Jack Armstrong. I was up in the rafters with Nick Stauskas. And then on the court, Rod Black, Leo Routens, and maybe even Sam Mitchell we were all in our little spots.
Didn't you have what's his name from the Nuggets playing?
Later, yeah. Jamal Murray came in the conference finals and the finals. So, we had to prepare our post-game show based on the result of the game, and the result of the game came on the very last shot. So we were like, oh man. So we're planning, okay, well, man, if Philly wins, oh my gosh, so who didn't have a great game? Obviously, we got to talk about who on Philly. Was it Tobias Harris? Was it Jimmy Butler? I can't even remember who had a great game.
You were kind of distracted.
No, I was panicking because we had to go up on the air. So immediately it's like, all right, let's go to Cabbie and Nick Stauskas for a reaction. And then we had to talk for like 2 or 3 minutes. The other group has to get into their position on the court, but like, and then Jack and Matt Devlin, they have to do their hit immediately. So anyway, but then like Kawhi hits it, and then we were jumping and celebrating for like 30 seconds with the rest of the audience, and then had to compose ourselves. Okay, what are we talking about? Okay, obviously we got to talk about the shot. These guys are going to talk about the shot. Okay, so who can we talk about? Did Pascal Siakam? Okay, Pascal had 18 and 12 or whatever it was. We had to quickly celebrate and then try to do a show and not be too much of fans in the moment. Even though Nick Stauskas from Mississauga, grew up a Raptors fan. I'm from Toronto, grew up a Raptors fan. But we had to be like somewhat professional.
Yeah.
In a moment of huge euphoria where, 20,000 people are celebrating, and then the country at large is celebrating. And it was fine for us to display that emotion ultimately because we just witnessed something we'd never seen for the Toronto Raptors franchise, or like that we'd ever seen with our own eyes, being in the building.
When you think about the championship that was won by the Raptors, and then you see the parade, you were around. I mean, you're old enough to be around for when the Jays won the World Series, right?
Yes.
I don't think the pandemonium with the parade was like that with the Raptors. The Raptors parade was crazy. Like, I don't know how people even went down there, because I knew it was going to be crazy. I'm like, I'm not going. It's going to be crazy.
It was intense. And I think from what I remember hearing anecdotally, it was like there were like 40,000 people that attended the Blue Jays parade in 1993. Obviously, Joe Carter, the Joe Carter home run was the highlight of the World Series. but there were like over 2 million. I heard some estimates, 2.5 million people that were in attendance for the Raptors parade. The Raptors seem to galvanize Canada in a different way, and certainly Toronto, because Toronto's such a mosaic culturally, and I think the Raptors really embrace that as a club, as an entity, as a franchise. They really embrace.
Look at the players on the team. Look at the players up from even the staff, up and down, all over the world. Everybody from all over the world.
There's a mosaic, and there was a moment where I was on one of the buses. I was on bus number 4 with Pascal, OG Anunoby, and
you weren't there with Mark Gasol?
No, he was on bus 5, living his best life. Him and Jeremy Lin were on bus 5, but I was on bus 4, and there was a moment where my producer and I, Dave Cricks, we were just looking. There's one moment where up against a barricade on Lakeshore, there were like 45 6-year-olds, and every face was different, like palette wise, and it was like. We were so warmed by that, like, this is Toronto. Like, if the Toronto Maple Leafs, when they eventually win the Stanley Cup, because they will at some point, there won't be that level of diversity.
Hopefully.
Well, at some point, everybody's got to win. The Chicago Cubs won in 2016 after 108 years of playing baseball. So even when the Leafs win, the parade might be the same size, but it won't have the same level of diversity because hockey culture by its nature isn't inclusive like basketball is. And, like our team had Marcus Sols from Spain, Serge Ibaka's from the Congo, Pascal Siakam's from Cameroon.
Jeremy
Lim is Asian American. Who else am I missing? There was just even diversity of the players on the squad. And then obviously in the executive branch, Masai is from Nigeria. I can't remember where Bobby Webster's from, but I believe his family is Asian heritage. Teresa, who was like a stats guru. She's an American, but like there's just so many. It just embraced the mosaic of Toronto.
It was great. It was a great moment for everybody. All the years of going through it with players leaving, and you know what? I feel like honorary wise, I think Isaiah Thomas deserves a ring. Real talk.
Really? Why?
He's the one that brought the team. Isaiah Thomas,
bro. That was 25 years ago.
Exactly. Do you know what we went through leading up to that? I feel personally he should.
But why? Why?
He should be more. Listen, I feel Isaiah Thomas should be more honored by the Raptors than Vince.
That's a general manager for like 2 years, bro. Or 3
I know,
years.
but he brought the team. That's the thing. We went from
no. He was the first general manager. He wasn't. He was the first general manager.
I know, but what I'm saying
is wasn't part of the ownership group. I don't think.
Oh no, yeah, he was. He owned a small percentage. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he owned a small percentage.
I think it was the Bito family and
But all I'm saying is he's part of the group, and he was the face that helped bring that Raptors team.
I totally disagree. 100% disagree with you. Isaiah Thomas's legacy is like there were no lasting players. There was no playoff. But the greatest thing that the Raptors did in Isaiah Thomas's era is they beat the 96 Bulls.
No, but
one of the 10 losses that the Bulls had in that season.
What I'm saying is Isaiah Thomas, in my book, needs to be honored way before Vince Carter because he was part of the foundation. That's all I'm saying.
Totally disagree. Totally disagree.
What I mean? But then
Vince Carter put the Raptors on the map. Vince Carter made Toronto cool in a time where Toronto was not cool. Vince Carter did that globally because he won the slam dunk competition. And
you remember Vince left us? Vince left us. Remember that?
Of course, I remember. Yeah, in 2000.
Remember that? Remember how bitter that was? That was bitter divorce. Bitter. This guy said he doesn't dunk anymore. Like, what do you mean you don't dunk? This guy's like, trade me. I don't dunk anymore. I was like, okay, I guess it's over. And he goes to New Jersey and starts kicking the hell out of our team, the Raptors. Do you know how many times Vince just shot? Game over. against the Raptors.
That his first game back. Yeah, he was highly motivated because the
Yo,
separation was so
every time
acrimonious.
I see this at the ACC,
It still makes you still haven't made a point about why Isaiah Thomas should be honored before Vince Carter, which is the most ridiculous thing you've said this month.
This
month. That's the most ridiculous thing you've said.
You need to listen more. I said way more than that. But let's move on. Isaiah Thomas I'm a big fan of Isaiah Thomas. That's all. You know what I mean? So, and I think he needs to be recognized. So you left TSN in 2019.
Yes.
And you said you went to, that must have been a hard decision because you were there for 8 years.
I was. It was. It's obviously tough when you establish roots somewhere.
That's why you're in Vegas now, right?
Correct. So I work for Bleacher Report, and I had such a professional admiration and a little bit of a jealousy for what Bleacher Report was able to do in the culture as far as responding to moments, creating memes and graphics and animations like that directly align with a huge moment. So for example, there could be Steph Curry can go off and hit 10 3-pointers, and like minutes after the game, Bleacher Report will have a post where every 3-pointer that Steph Curry hits, there's a splash at the rim. Like that they had some artists create these, like as a brand, it worked so quickly to respond to these moments in the culture. It could be a football player. Hold on. It could be a football player somersaulting or hurdling another football player on Sunday, and then all of a sudden they put like the Super Mario Brothers sound effects on the highlight. And I'm just like, my producer and I are always like, yo, how do they think of this? And how do they think of it so quickly? And that, because I'm so deep rooted in sports and pop culture, as far as the content that I created or that I was, the lanes that I was immersed in at TSN, I've always respected that brand. And I was like, man, these guys are just amazing. And when the opportunity came to go work with the brand, I was like, yeah, I'm in, because it would be a new experience for me. And then I'll also get to work with a club, with a company that I've been admiring for a long time.
And hanging with Chad and Kelly's not bad.
Yeah, I love Chad Johnson. He's
you know what? I need you to alley-oop an interview for me, because Chad is an interesting fellow. What he said about not spending money on jewelry and wearing fake jewelry, I feel like is ingenious, and a lot of more athletes or entertainers need to take this. Like, don't waste your money on nonsense.
On material things. Yes. Yeah. So he will legit go to Target and he'll buy like rock t-shirts or watches. And he's an Adidas sponsored athlete. So it's not like he needs to buy sneakers at all. And like he gets his workout every morning at like 7 a.m. That's one thing that he's maniacal about, is just getting his workout. Cause I think it just helps with your mentals and obviously your body. And he doesn't want to be one of these retired athletes that are like 280 pounds. Like he still looks like he can play. And he's a gamer, and he still watches football, and he has this great energy, and he's a wonderful personality. So I definitely, to your point, I respect how much he is not so caught up in these material possessions. You know, he's got a family. He's got I'm
very intrigued by that, because when you see him as a personality, and when he was playing football, they like looking from the outside in, you would think he's obnoxious and whatnot, but he's very well put together mentally.
Yeah, and he played at a high level, and yeah, he would be flashy. He would be out there with some grills on a Sunday, or he would have a touchdown celebration. Yeah. But he was in there working from early morning, because he earned it. Yes, you got to back it up if you're going to be as flamboyant and exuberant as you are as a personality. You have to back that up on the field, and he did.
I see. Because of that Bleacher Report, I don't know if they're related. I see you hanging out with some legends on TNT with Shaq and Reggie Miller and Chris Webber, like that.
That was only because of Bleacher Report. Yes, and like
that's a panel.
Report,
that's a panel.
Thank you.
That's a panel and a half.
It was one of the coolest things that I've ever had to do, and it was because Turner owns Bleacher Report, so. When the opportunity came up to do it was a 2019 season preview. And I think Ernie Johnson, who was covering baseball, and somebody else said like they couldn't do it. So then I got the opportunity. And frankly, if I was still at TSN, I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity. Even if
you're not around. You're not around there. You wouldn't be around there.
No, but even if I was still there and there was like, all right, we're going to do a season preview with Mark Messier, Steve Yzerman. So I'm trying to think of comparable legends. Mark Messier, Steve Yzerman, and Brett Hall.
Whoever. Yeah.
Yeah. That wouldn't have fallen to me. Like there would have been 8 other people in front of me in line, but on Turner, like it came to me, and we're in Las Vegas, and we shot this show inside the Caesars Palace Sportsbook, and it was one of the most nervous moments of my career because there's a time limit, and I want to be smooth. My voice was even messed up because I was so nervous, like it was affecting my vocal cords.
You were nervous?
Yeah, man, because it's like these are legends. Like,
I'm pretty sure you met all of them at one point. No?
I met Shaq a couple of times.
I'm surprised.
I met Reggie once, and I never met Chris Webber.
Okay.
But it's still like even you might meet someone in passing, but like having a 1-hour conversation with them is much different when there are cameras and like there's a live audience. So we had like 700 people watching us like in the space. So, your nerves get to you.
The audience is that big, eh?
Yeah, it was pretty big.
Wow. That's theater right there. That's theater at its finest, Now let's talk about what is it? August 9th, 2019.
When I got married. Thank you.
Buddy, I'm so happy for you because you already know. I know how you met the good doctor out in Calgary.
Thank you, man.
Did you invite Henry Burris at least? Because it was him that brought you out to Calgary.
You know what? I do owe him a phone call. No, I did. I did not.
I know my invitation must have been lost because I moved.
Yeah, it was. There was a capacity issues at the venue, so they're like, "Yo, you guys got to scale it back." So, unfortunately, it got edited.
Yeah. So, first of all, I know you went to Colombia for your bachelor party. Wow, that was dope.
Thank you.
That looked like fun. And I want to touch on that if I can get a chance. What friendship means to you, because I see how you hold your friends in high regards. You're always giving them the roses. And I respect that. You know what I mean?
Thanks, man.
So,
thank you.
And them taking you to Colombia, it makes sense because you guys really appreciate each other. You know what I mean?
We do. Yeah. Thanks.
How was the wedding?
Wedding was magical, man. We had a beautiful day. It was.
Was it here or in Calgary?
No, it was here. It was in Scarborough. It was at the Guild Inn. So it's like this. They renovated this old hotel, and it was. I think we were the 3rd year.
What is it on? I think it's on Kingston Road.
Yeah, it's at. The area is called Guildwood, but what's the I'm trying to remember the Kingston Road in like Lawrence? Do those two?
Yeah. I know where it is.
And so it's right by the Scarborough Bluffs, and there's this random park. Not a random park. There's a park with random artifacts. That's actually a better way to put it. So the people that owned the hotel before, they used to buy artifacts from early 20th century buildings. So there would be like an archway of like a Toronto Dominion Bank from like 1935 that's just randomly in this park. They have the signature piece inside this park are these huge Greek columns that are like 60 or 80 feet. And it's like a small sort of amphitheater. Unfortunately, on the day that we got married, we weren't allowed to go. There was some kind of private event that was going to happen the day after or something. So they had set up like this gallery or whatever. Yeah. But it's very cool. There's archways. There are like huge fountains that were from like various parks around the city. This place is littered with them. But so it just creates a very cool environment and just much different than what you see in other parks in the city. So anyway, the wedding was wonderful. Had an awesome day. Stayed downtown at the Thompson Hotel, had a beautiful suite. Then went to a baseball game the next day. The Jays played the Yankees and we won. I think we won 4-3. It was just an awesome weekend. It was wonderful, man. Thanks for asking.
I'm glad. So salute to you and your wife for making that.
Thank you.
So I'm happy for y'all. Just make sure you look out for Henry Burrs because he's the one that made it happen.
Listen, I'm gonna text him or call him right after this. So thank you for the reminder. Thank you. I do appreciate that.
The Last Dance. Did you get a chance to watch it? Obviously,
of course, man. I injected that right into my eyeballs. That was my narcotic. Like that was just it was in my eyeballs and in my veins and like right into my heart. Like,
hey,
don't you just
go ahead.
One thing real quick. There were several people that attempted to send me the link because like the first 6 or 8 episodes had leaked. I said, no. I need that for my Sunday nights. Like I need these 2 hours for these 5 Sundays in the middle of the summer where this documentary basically saved ESPN because there was no other programming, live program. ESPN was showing Korean baseball at 5 a.m., but in prime time, there was nothing to show. So they had to build so much content around the documentary, like a pregame show and then a postgame show with Jalen and Jacoby. And they had like interviews with the director, Jason Hare. So it was obviously amazing. It was candy. It was like, it gave us all the feel good and the nostalgia.
What did you learn about Jordan coming away from that documentary that you didn't know before?
I learned a lot about Scottie and his family. That's one. I learned about Dennis Rodman and his relationship with Phil Jackson. Well, Phil Jackson's like, this guy is so talented. He brings so much value that we'll take the good. Yes. We'll take the bad with the good. Yeah. You can go blow off some steam for 4 days in Las Vegas, like during the fight, or like go wrestle WCW wrestling with Hulk Hogan during the finals. Like what? Okay, but specifically about Michael. What did I learn about I know Michael had an aversion to politics because it was safer not to get involved in politics in the 80s and the 90s. Now it's totally different. Now it is encouraged for athletes to use their platforms to elevate certain causes that they feel passionate about. I didn't really know that much about like Greensboro, North Carolina, and different counties in North Carolina where Michael grew up. And that wasn't Greensboro, where he grew up in, I can't remember, but some of that stuff I didn't know about. I mean, I think if Axios or HBO, actually, if Vice had done the documentary, I think they would have shown more of his warts. But since Michael was an executive producer,
he produced it.
He did. Since he was the next executive producer, they're like, you show 1 or 2 warts, but not all of the warts.
There's a lot. Like there's still the skeleton in the closet of why he really got suspended. People,
and they touched on that a little bit.
Sorry, not suspended, but the 2 years it took off.
Yeah, he retired. Yeah.
What really happened and whatnot. But for me, Jordan, what I loved about it is like when who was it? He was watching a iPad interview of somebody saying that they could have guarded him or
Gary Payton.
And he started laughing. I'm like, that is exactly why Jordan was great. Because he's like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to argue with you.
It was a great device by the director, Jason Hare, to have filmed all these interviews with other people so that Michael could react in real time to what Gary Payton said. So we got some of those moments and we got new Michael Jordan memes. There's the meme of like this. He looks at the camera and then the one line, which is a meme that still lives to this day when Michael says, and I took that personally. So like, there's like opponent, like, oh, I'm the best in the world. And then me, and I took that personally. Michael looking at the iPad. And then it's just an amazing, there are some of those amazing moments. Now, here's the thing. It reignited the debate between Michael and LeBron.
Okay.
And LeBron.
Okay. Before you go on, this is how I want us to kind of end on this because I got to go pick up my children.
Okay.
Now, bubble basketball. What did you think of it? I didn't think much of it.
I thought it was incredible. Incredible.
Like it was fine, but I wasn't used to it, and I don't think it was fair for the players because I don't think all the players were all there. some players were not really there mentally because of.
But that makes it harder. That's
what I'm saying. Like, it's an asterisk. I don't care. There's an asterisk.
No. Yeah. Well, an asterisk in which way? How do you qualify the asterisk?
Well, it wasn't your normal regular season. Like, there was a 4-month, pretty much, the season stopped for 4 months, and then you ramp it back up and have guys. Some guys got injured trying to get in shape. Trying to, you know what I mean? So it wasn't, and then you have the whole what's going on.
Wait a second. Asterisk with a negative connotation or a positive connotation?
Both.
But it can't be both.
No, it's no. Okay, then. Okay,
it's a binary thing. It's one or the other.
If you're telling me what I got to do, okay, negative, because I feel like the season was just it was so condensed. Like, certain players weren't able to be themselves. You know what I mean? Like, it was.
No, I don't know. I don't know what that means. They weren't able to be themselves. Like, what does that mean?
Like, well, think about it. Athletes are habitual in nature. So you're taking them out of the elements and whatnot. Look at a guy like Kawhi. I'll give you a perfect example. Kawhi went home to play. You know where he ended up playing? In Orlando with the Raptors. Like, this whole point of leaving.
With the Raptors? What do you mean he ended up
he was in the bubble. All the teams ended up in the same place because it didn't really matter who you were playing for, where you were playing, because everybody ended up in Orlando because of the pandemic. So look how that affected their run. I feel like that.
What do you mean that he wasn't able to be himself, though? You said some players were not able to.
He's not playing in LA. He's not playing in LA. He left the Raptors to be home. He wasn't at home. He's in Orlando. You know what I mean?
But nobody was at home. So that makes it harder.
No, that's what I'm saying. It makes it harder, but for a lot of players, it was an adjustment that affected them, I feel. Like the Clippers,
which makes it harder.
Listen, making it harder is not always better. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always better.
But what I'm pushing back on is your assertion that the asterisk is a negative thing.
For me, there's an asterisk. For
me, it's if there's an asterisk, it's on a positive one.
The fans not being involved. Oh my God. Oh my. That affected the Milwaukee Bucks more than any other team.
That in Philadelphia too. They had huge home court advantages, which
Philly was Philly was funny. That team, oh my God. They're gonna break up that team. They have to break up that team. But
okay, wait, hold on. But if we both agree that the environment, the mental fortitude, being out of your element as far as your habitual, your creature comforts and your regular habits, if you admit that, if we agree that those things made it harder for competition, would it then not stand to reason that winning in the bubble was a more difficult task than winning in the previous season?
You know what? From what I'm hearing, the actual people who played the game, retired and still playing, most of them says it's harder to play and win in front of the fans as opposed to playing pickup in a gym. Because that's what
it wasn't pickup. These are the best players in the world.
That's what Pippen.
It wasn't pickup.
It was like, just like pickup in the gym, yo. This is nothing.
No, it wasn't. These are actual games with referees on schedules. It was not
like
pickup.
It's theater. That was the theater of it all is so. Oh, come on, man. Even Lebron winning, yo. Oh my God. So, anyways, this guy says he's the GOAT, LeBron. He says he's the GOAT. He said it a couple of years ago.
He did, yeah.
And now the debate came back up after the documentary and then LeBron winning. I'm gonna ask you, who is the GOAT?
I mean, probably Kareem. No, Kareem does get overlooked. Kareem does get overlooked, but I think Michael's resume is greater, but LeBron is a better basketball player. That's how I'm splitting the hairs of greatness. That's how I apply nuance to this particular debate. LeBron, when it comes to basketball skills, dribbling, passing, shooting, rebounding, defense, I think LeBron is a superior player, but Michael has a greater resume. But after LeBron's finished he's 35 now, he was born December 30th, 1984. He's probably got, I believe he's going to play until Bronny, his son, is enters the NBA and LeBron will go play with Bronny or whatever team LeBron's on. LeBron will wield the power behind the scenes to get Bronny on the squad so they can play together, which would create an incredible arc in his story, because LeBron grew up without a father, and then to be able to play with his son in the game that he loves would be unbelievable. So that's,
you know what? Listen, my decision is solely based on what happens between those lines. Off the court, I know LeBron is a great human being and so on and so forth. But I'm just talking about strictly on the basketball court. You know what I mean?
And LeBron's numbers are superior to Michael's, except for a few categories.
Even like I'll take Kobe before I take LeBron, because for some reason LeBron has like weird flaws, or can't hit a free throw when it counts. Like that, to me, that's madness. How you not hitting a free throw? That you're like hacking LeBron. Like that's crazy.
That is one flaw in his game. He's not.
That to me, that's madness. But it is what it is. So that's why I say Jordan is the GOAT. You know what I mean? For me. And for the record, who are you saying, Jordan or LeBron?
I say that Michael has a greater resume, but LeBron is a better player. And LeBron will have every important
Are you gonna pick? Or are you gonna give me a political answer?
That's my answer. I can separate. I can add some nuance to the conversation, and I'm gonna say that LeBron will have every important record by the end of his career, except maybe Finals MVPs. Okay. And Michael will have the 6 rings, but it's not just, you just can't encapsulate a person's career just on like, oh, he's got 6 rings. Like that is
no, the 6
I don't know. You're not doing this. You're not doing this.
Yeah.
But I loathe when people enter sports. Oh, he's got 6 rings, but that doesn't just define his career. And there's so many other facets of basketball where you can look at, if you actually want to have the conversation and a nuanced conversation, that you can. But people are like, 6-0. I'm like, all right, fine. If you're just going to give me 6-0, then I can't talk to you.
You can't argue. You can't hold a debate. But listen, Cabbie, it's been great talking to you.
Likewise.
Say hello to the family.
Will do.
Hey, listen, I ran into Tim McAuliffe coming out of Subway, like the Subway's restaurant.
Yeah.
Mask on. I'm like, listen, I need to do an interview with you. Please, I need you to alley-oop that for me, because he's one of the gods that I really respect. You know what I mean? Tim
is great. He's a great dude. I'm sure he'll do it.
Connor, and I went to Neil, so you know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What are you doing now? How should people find you? And
so, thank you for asking. On Twitter, I'm just at Cabbie, and on Instagram, I'm at The Real Cabbie. So that's where all my content is, and you can find out some of the fun things that we're doing in betting. And every Sunday we have a football show called The Squad Ride on the Bleacher Report app. So if you want to check us out, please do.
Listen, I love what you do. Music Mondays, every Mondays, he has a list of songs.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Does, I wanted to get into the music, but we don't have time. There's a lot of craziness going on with these young children out there with the music, killing themselves over this, making videos that's dissing each other, and then they're killing each other over it. And it's just unfortunate, because a lot of people are suffering because of this, like you guys are winning the lottery, just throw your life away. Like, for example, King Von just died not too long ago.
Yeah.
And like, it was just sad, but check out his Music Mondays list. He always has a Music Monday list. And again, Cabbie, thank you. 27th letters. Appreciate you. All right.
Got you, my brother. Good to talk to you.
Say what's up to the wife for me, okay?
Will do. Thank you. And give high fives to your youngsters for me, the royal family.
Hey, whenever you guys come back in town, we got to sit down, please.
Okay, cool. I look forward to it.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Take care. All right. Thank you so much.
You got it, my brother. Okay. Thank you for it. It was